folks, welcome back to Edible Whole Foods. You know, in the South, it's said that each new bride needs to know how to make her future husband's mama's biscuits. But we've got a biscuit expert here today that's going to teach us all how to make great biscuits. This is Belinda Ellis, who is the editor of Edible Piedmont Magazine and the author of a new book on biscuits, 50 Great Biscuit Recipes.
First thing first, let's talk about the ingredients.
All right.
It makes a big difference what flour you use. You want to use a low-protein flour. I'm using King Arthur cake flour, and I'm using the unbleached because the unbleached is, you don't need bleaching.
Okay.
It just makes it white.
Okay.
So that's what I'm using is the King Arthur cake flour. You want it to be low protein.
All right,
Okay?
sounds good.
And then I'm using real butter.
Unsalted or salted?
Unsalted, because I'm going to go ahead and add my salt and baking powder here.
Okay.
And then I'm using Mapleview Dairy local buttermilk.
All right.
And I like this nice, thick, whole milk buttermilk. So it's just 3 ingredients. So start with the very best ingredients.
Well, I mean, what's in that bowl over there?
That is my baking powder and my salt, because I'm using plain flour, meaning cake flour without any leavening. I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt for every cup of flour that I'm using.
All
in the
right, so
recipe.
that's kind of what makes it all
Yes.
puff, right?
And that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Mix that in really, really well.
Okay.
I usually take a wire whisk and whisk it in, but this works just fine.
Okay.
If you have one of these tools, they're handy. Then I just toss in the butter and you can use a pastry cutter if you have one. If you don't have one, your fingertips work just fine. Everything with biscuits, just like pie crust, the colder you work, the better. In the book, I tell you exactly how much milk to use, but the reality of it is, and I explain this in the book, you add until it looks right. And that's where it would have been really nice if your grandmother would have taught you how to make biscuits. But if your grandmother didn't teach you how, I go step by step and tell you how in the book. Because it really is the way the dough feels, not and looks. It's not really about measurement, because flour has different levels of moisture in the flour itself. All right, you want to stick your finger on that now?
Yeah.
All right, now, let me see.
Okay.
Sticky.
Sticky.
Now you know you've got it right. Simple.
All right.
Okay. Now, I have a little pile of flour that I set over at the side. I put it on my surface, and you can use any surface. You don't have to have a roll pad or any of that, but I just have it, so I use it. Stick your dough out onto the flour.
Okay.
Now, I go step by step how to do this in the book, because this is an important step. Is flour your darn hands, because they are going to be so sticky. And so you take it, you flour your hands. I put a little flour on the top, and I do what I call cuddling the dough. See that cuddle? It's making it into a round ball, but I'm not working it. I'm not shaping it a lot.
You're not doing what typically we would call kneading.
I'm not kneading. What a knead is on a biscuit is I pat it out flat, I fold it in thirds, and then I take it from the front and roll it. Dust your rolling pin if you want to use a rolling pin. You don't have to. And you don't crush it down and push. It's a light touch. I'm doing it fast, but I'm doing it light. Cut it close together. You only want to roll these out once. And I like using a cake pan because the sides are nice and tall, and that kind of makes the airflow over them so they stay nice and evenly baked. It seems to bake easier than this in a traditional baking pan.
Now, you told me one time that if the biscuits stick together, or that if they touch, they tend to rise higher.
And they're softer.
And they're a little softer. And if you want crisper biscuits, then
leave them
a little bit apart.
A quarter of inch apart.
Okay.
And you can do it whichever way you like. I'm a traditional old Southerner, so I like mine really close together and really soft. I don't care if they're shaped in squares. I want them to be really soft. But it's according to how you like your biscuit. I talk about that I have 15 different classic biscuit recipes in this book, because everybody likes their biscuits a different way. It is how your mama made it.
Where can we get your books?
Everywhere, all the local bookstores.
I think everybody needs to know how to make a great biscuit. So, Belinda, thanks for coming. Thanks for being with us. I hope you've learned something today. I know I have. And go make some biscuits. It's a great time of the year to impress people with your biscuit making. Come back and see us next time on Edible Whole Foods.